What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Don't Quote Us Sports, the podcast where the takes are bold, the stats are questionable, and the accountability is non-existent. We kick things off with the MLB Trade Deadline, breaking down the biggest winners, the confusing losers, and why I am officially disowning the Minnesota Twins. Spoiler, they sold the entire roster, bullpen included, and got a little leaguer and a bucket of baseballs in return. Then we take a quick detour to Bristol Motor Speedway, where the Reds took on the Braves. We had hot dogs with no buns, home run cars, and a hilarious clip of a grown man trying to throw a baseball up the banked tracks. From there, we head to the NBA, where Luka and De'Aaron Fox signed extensions with the Lakers and Spurs, respectively. Are they smart moves or just future cap headaches? Just depends on who you ask. Finally, it's football time. College and pro, we dive into the preseason coaches poll, debate the most overrated teams, and toss out some early hot takes on Heisman hopefuls. And in the NFL, Kyren Williams got paid, and the crew debates whether he earned it or if the Rams just lit $33 million on fire. And lastly, we cover the NFC East in today's NFL team preview. Welcome back to Don't Quote Us Sports. It is August 6th, 2025.
It's August 5th.
Damn.
I posted tomorrow, so it will be August 6th when people actually listen to it, Rob.
Damn.
I've done this for the last 3 episodes. I'm glad you finally have caught on the next day.
So, hey, it's the 5th or 6th of August.
For us, it's the 5th.
Might be the 8th by the time you listen to it.
Exactly. Just a blanket statement. It is the week of August 5th. Is that better? Would that be better suited for everybody?
We're in August.
And if we're in August, that means football's almost here. Rob, give us the countdown.
Bro.
Shoot, I didn't ask if he was ready before the episode again.
Rob, I thought you had the whiteboard next to the bed.
No, I do not.
Just a little mark it off. You know, days since serious injury. 0. Yeah, we got to be 30 days out, right? From kick?
I know week 0 for college football is the 23rd, if I remember correctly. And if my math serves, that'd be 18 days.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, what do we got?
All right, boys. I got 29 days till September 4th, which is the kickoff of the NFL regular season.
Who was that opening game again? Sorry.
Eagles
Cowboys?
Cowboys Thursday night.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be interesting. Great segue. Today's episode, since we'll talk about the NFC East. Everything that's going on there. Ugh. But outside of that, sorry, dude. I had dinner right before this. I got some stuff going on in my tummies now. Doesn't digest that well.
Well, Rob, he was just bragging about being the youngest one here, and he's the only one with having to take antacid.
Okay. In fairness, out of the 3 of us right now, I guarantee I'm the only one that doesn't have Tums in this household.
I
don't use Tums. I've never used Tums in my life.
Wow.
I have. I don't currently have them in the house.
I've really never used
Herb, you scream a dude that carries around Tums with him at this point.
No, I only ever kept Tums in the bar. That was to combat the sugar content in which we were consuming at high rates of speed.
No. High rates of speed are copious amounts.
Both at the same time. And all 3 of us have been there once or twice. So,
shout out the Des Moines bar scene. If you know, you know.
Dead. Dead. It's dead. Oh, anyway, episode 14. Let's get into sports, boys. Stop talking about antacids.
Okay. We'll leave football towards the end, but I figured we'd start MLB. Since we last spoke, we had the trade deadline, which I don't know about you guys. I love the trade deadline. I love just getting blown up with notifications. They're trading people I've never heard of in most scenarios. And they're talking about these 18-year-old dudes that are years away from making it to the big leagues. And I love it. I just love everything about it. I know the Cubs were somewhat active out there. Maybe not to the extent you guys might have been hoping. Um, so I'll let you guys touch on that first, and then I got a PSA that I got to get out there for Minnesota Twins fans.
Rob, talk to him now. Talk to him
Speaking of
now.
that, I mean, as far as big trades, we really didn't see anything crazy. I mean, I was hoping to see a name or two that was kind of big. Um, but as far as the Cubs go, man, talking to Herb, I wasn't sure how to feel about it because I kind of felt fine after it, going out and getting Willie Castro, who I think is a going to be a nice utility player for us. We can back up in second, back up in shortstop. But I'm fine with it, man. I think we're good. I really would have liked some sort of a pitching rotation, um, especially getting into the playoff time. But I'm kind of fine with where we're at. I don't know how you feel there.
I wanted a name in pitching. I wanted a name. I wanted a guy who was going to come in and be 3 or 4 in the rotation. We went out. We got some pitching depth. I love the Castro pick. I think he's going to help us win in the playoffs. The Cubs are borderline like this winner loser. They did some. They didn't do enough. It depends on who you talk to. Rob, let me ask you this, and Isaiah, you can chime in on this too. So now the Cubs are sitting there with 3 pretty solid middle infielders of Swanson, Horner, and Castro. And Rob, I'll give you the credit for throwing this one around the other day. But we've got first round of the playoffs. All 3 are healthy. Who's starting second and shortstop for the Cubs? And Isaiah, you can give some insight because you get to watch Willie Castro play up in Minnesota for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know how familiar are you with him.
Yeah, I mean, is you have Dansby Swanson, you have Horner, and then obviously you're going to have Willie Castro. And I asked him, do you think, game 1 of a series, first round of the playoffs, who you putting out there? And the answer to that is you're putting out there whoever has a hot bat at that time, I think. Whoever's not fucking up, and going out there and getting people on base, things, just getting hits. And I think that's going to be who it is. I think it's whoever's hot at that given time. I don't think as of right now, you can say 2 of them are truly the starters.
Yeah, I think just from watching him for the last couple of seasons, I think it's really going to be dependent upon matchups, which is what the postseason is all about. Because obviously you have Swanson and Horner, who you want in the game primarily for their defense, right? Castro, while he is serviceable at almost every position on defense, he's not great, I would say, at any particular position. Um, so I think it's going to be very dependent on matchups. Like his splits against left-handers is worlds away better than it is against righties. I'm talking about an OPS of 0.840 against lefties to 0.707 against righties. So there is a big drop off there. So I think to start, unless one of them, like Rob said, gets really hot leading up to the postseason, you're most likely going to roll out Horner and Swanson in the middle infield and then leverage Castro later in the game, knowing that you'll be able to implement him as a pinch hitter for a specific matchup that you might like. And then you have the flexibility to essentially move him um, to almost any position on the field. So I think that was the biggest thing with him is he just provides so much flexibility um, to counsel and that coaching staff as to how they can move players around. And I think that's going to be one of those things that is going to help the Cubs a lot. Is I feel like you can say that about a lot of the players on your team, between your outfielders being able to not be specific to one position. They all have one position they're really good at, but they can play multiple positions if needed, which I think will really help them.
And the fact that Castro's a switch hitter just helps them in their matchups I mean, they get to really pick and choose their spot with him. Dude, he's got – I don't know that he's going to be the hero that Ben Zobrist was, but he's got a Ben Zobrist story arc written all over him for the Cubs. And I tell you what, cool, because 2016, I don't think we could have done it without Ben. So I'm excited about that. Can I hit you with two quick winners and two quick losers? And Isaiah, it'll get into your PSA. Don't worry, I won't steal your thunder there. But I want to shout out two teams that I think stole this thing. Or one team and one player I think really went off this thing. Seattle is one of the biggest winners for me. All they want to do up in Seattle is absolutely mash baseballs. So let's go out and get who is it? It's Suarez. Naylor. Suarez like 5th in the league in home runs, 12th in RBIs. Naylor makes great contact. You've already got old Big Butt, Big Dumper,
baby.
Big Dumper. There he is, Cal Raleigh. Like all they want to do up in Seattle is mash the baseball. So let's go out and get two great hitters. The other team's the Padres, and more specifically, Mason Miller's a winner. You go from being an up-and-coming potential stud closer for the – are we calling them the Oakland Athletics? Are they the California Athletics? Are they Vegas Athletics yet?
They were just Athletics.
Well, that's pretty lame.
If we're talking technicality.
It'll be Vegas, right?
Yeah, it'll be Vegas. I'm going to go ahead and give them the respect out of the Bay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to call them Oakland until they're in Vegas. But Mason Miller, he was dying up there. Now he goes to the Padres. He's surrounded by talent, big names, bright lights. It's where the kid's supposed to be. Losers are the Tigers, I think, didn't do enough. They were so hyper-focused on pitching, I feel like, that they missed an opportunity to go out and get another bat. So, well, I don't hate what they did. I don't think they did enough, especially in the position they're in. 9 games ahead, 10 games ahead at this point. And then the last loser, and I think it is everybody's biggest loser in the MLB, is the Minnesota Twins. And Isaiah, I'll let you take over from there, brother, because I'm really hoping for a damnation here.
I'm trying to figure out like how I want to phrase this, because there's a lot of words in my head right now, and I don't feel like I'm going to do a great job of verbalizing it. But going into this deadline, I knew we were going to be sellers, right? But when we say sellers in the MLB, you're going to move a couple pieces, probably a couple that are going to be free agents in the coming year or two, nothing crazy. So like I knew Harrison Bader was probably going to get moved. I knew Ty France was probably going to get moved. And then the names just kept coming one after the other. And then by the time the fucking smoke cleared, we had traded 10 dudes from our 26-man roster, which, let me pose the question to you guys. If there is 10 players that teams are interested in around the league, I would probably think we were a pretty good team. Don't you think?
You guys sold everything, including the bolts that hold the seats into the stadium, bro. You gave everything. You gave everything up.
And I don't even think we did that good in terms of return.
I was going to ask that. You guys didn't get shit back.
We traded Carlos Correa, which
fine.
We could not trade him to begin with because the reputational hit that we took was almost as bad as what we received for him. Essentially, we're telling free agents, hey, come to Minnesota. We'll pay you a big bag, but you're not going to see halfway through that contract before your ass is out of here. We did the same thing with Donaldson when we signed him to the biggest deal in Twins history a couple years back. We traded Carlos Correa and $30 million to Houston for a 26-year-old pitching in single A with a 7+ ERA.
Hey, he's just starting to figure it out. He's really on the come up for you guys.
This dude was debating whether or not to retire, and then sees his name come across the bottom banner on ESPN that he's been traded to Minnesota.
Rob, this guy was coaching at the local high school in the offseason on the girls basketball team. All right, he's got his education certification. He was halfway to being a teacher.
Nah, he kept his arm warm though. He threw a couple pitches in the morning, and he kept that bitch warm.
He's one of those, Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 balls around.
Let me go get a couple in the backyard real quick, and he's 26 playing rookie ball.
It's high A.
High A.
Yeah.
That's not a great look.
And I know it's recency bias, probably speaking, but I have not seen an ownership group run through their goodwill. It was less than 2 years ago. The Twins were riding high, just won their first postseason game, and since the early 2000s broke an over a million streak in the playoffs, we were riding high. We were feeling good, to the very next offseason. Okay, we're going to cut payroll by 30 million. Great. We're already bottom third in payroll. Let's knock that down a little bit. To just very blatantly just selling everything, and the direction that we have taken doesn't make any sense. Like, if we're going to cut, sell it off, but yet here we still have Buxton on the roster. We still have Joe Ryan, which would have netted us something crazy from either the Red Sox or the Cubs. I know we're sniffing around.
Yeah, a 28-year-old playing Double-A. That's the value that you guys would have accepted for.
Yeah, honestly. So it's like,
oh, it's bad.
I just goes back. I think we've had this conversation on the pod, but it just goes back to these dudes that come in and purchase these professional teams and then refuse to spend any money once you own the team. Like, what the fuck? Why would you spend all that money so then you can go and put out a dog shit roster to play every single day with no chance of competing ever? Why?
The future's bleak, buddy. I'm sorry. It's bleak.
It doesn't make sense.
Hey,
There
Rob.
should be a rule in there that says owners either have to be a fan of that team before they purchase them, or be willing to spend X amount of money each season once they purchase the team. So this shit doesn't happen.
Now we're a little. We're off the rails there. There's no way the league would ever come in. But Rob, what do we always say about bad organizations?
Hey, bad teams make bad decisions.
Consistently.
I mean, I'm just now diving into baseball the last few weeks, like I told you guys, and I'm starting to get in the swing of it. But seeing the Twins pretty much have a garage sale is what it turned out.
They laid them on the front yard, baby. They put them right out there on the front yard. So 2 for 4.
So I'm like, are
we
they?
Literally didn't have a bullpen afterwards. You should have seen some of the names we were calling up. Never heard before in my life.
I was like, I looked I was like, where are they at? And I think they were 6 or 7 under 500 at that point. And I'm like, I get it if you're in that type of, but you got to have a plan, right? You have to have a plan. And if they're doing what you're saying, Isaiah, and they're keeping a couple guys, if you're going to sell all, then sell fucking all.
Yeah, don't half-ass it.
Get some prospects that you think have a chance, maybe some futures, something.
Our best prospect that we got was some, 18-year-old catcher that's batting, low 200s. I can't get excited about that. No, sir.
Your GM and ownership, they've just got a 15-year plan that you just don't have the vision for, clearly.
See, I don't even think it's – I can't –
They don't have a plan, Isaiah. They don't have a plan.
I don't even think I can blame the GM. His hands are tied by a stingy ownership group that refuses to spend any money.
Yeah, it's bleak. I mean, you guys are going to be competing with the White Sox for the next couple of years for sure.
No, I think the White Sox are going to take off before us.
Probably. That's not ideal by any means.
Stupid.
I
think I've taken the firm stance that I'm going to refuse to acknowledge this team exists until they actually pretend like they give a shit about.
Yeah, you guys both are having tough fandom times, bro. Yeah. You guys are both
you're talking about two guys who, I mean, Isaiah, I'm sure you've been fairly committed Twins fan the entirety of your life. Me being a Bulls fan, I mean, you've got two guys who've been pretty well invested in this shit, and we're considering bailing on our
bail,
teams.
bro.
No, I mean, I
can definitely bail on a baseball team. That does not matter.
No, I don't know if we'd let you. I don't know.
Even
We may hold you to a higher standard.
If Charlotte had a team, I would be there
Hey,
in a heartbeat.
Isaiah's just going to follow the Durham Bulls and just be all about that action.
Hey, we have the Charlotte Knights. They're
Okay,
AAA.
but we both know the Durham Bulls are cooler.
No, because I have the Kannapolis Cannonballers that I could go for instead.
The fucking who?
Yeah, it's the AA affiliate of the White Sox. It's like 25 minutes from my house. It's sick.
Bro, I think baseball teams out of any sports, like if I moved to Florida, I'm still a Cubs fan.
Mm-hmm.
See, the
And
one fandom I'm not changing is my football team. I will never change being a Vikings fan, no matter where I am at. But I am not like ride or die, Twins until I die. I'm losing sleep over what happened at this trade deadline. They just have a little piece in the back of my brain that's like, they like to fuck with me every once in a while, you know? Like, pay attention to me.
Hey,
play with me.
Jeez, Paul. Hey, last big thing on the deadline, though. Paul Skeens didn't get moved. I'm disappointed he didn't get moved. I wanted him to... Like, that's the guy that I wanted to be moved in this whole thing, and he didn't get moved. Pittsburgh, I don't know what you were waiting on, but I don't know. Maybe
They were... Dude, I don't even know if you're trading them for Barry Bonds if Bonds was still around. Paul Skeens.
But we talked about it. I mean, if they want to get the value, they're not building a team around him.
They're like 6 or 7 years of control.
I know
what that could get you.
They're not building. Oh yeah, no doubt. But they're
that could
not
get you a third world country.
Probably Ethiopia for sure. I think I talked about it before. The Pirates should have moved him. You're clearly not building a team around him. You didn't do crazy shit at the deadline. What was the point of keeping him? I think everybody wanted Skeens to move, and as we got closer to the deadline, I think everybody realized that it wasn't going to happen. Sucks. Could have been a Cub, baby. Could have been playing for the World Series this year.
Anybody want to take a guess at what his updated record is since last time we spoke about him in depth?
Because he had, like 4 wins?
He was 4-8 last time we spoke.
Mia has an opinion. He was what?
He was 4-8 last time we spoke, I believe.
I bet you he's got 2 more wins.
Nailed it, yes.
Fuck yeah.
He's on the upswing.
Hey, good for him.
They heard he might not get the Cy Young if he doesn't start winning some games, so they went out and helped him out a little bit.
It's kind of a factor.
Other MLB news, guys, I don't know if you saw, they played a baseball game at Bristol Motor Speedway out there in, was that Herb, you know better than I do. Is that in Georgia? Or
that's Rob. Hey, that's Rob's department, brother. Rob's a NASCAR fella here. Okay, you want to talk European real racing? You let me know, but I'll let Rob handle that.
That's in. I'd imagine it'd be in Bristol, Tennessee.
Thank you. So I don't know if you guys had the chance to see it between the uniforms that they wore, which were saucy, might I add. They were so sick, if you haven't seen them. And then you had Tyler Stevenson, the catcher for the Reds, pull up in the Talladega Nights.
Wonder Bread, the paint job from Ricky Bobby. That was sick. That was a sick look.
It was so sick. And then after the home runs, they had the home run car go around the track, which was pretty sweet. But for those not aware, that game was supposed to be on Saturday. It ended up getting rained out after, I don't even think they went to the bottom of the first before they delayed it or suspended play. It got so bad for those fans that decided to stick around. They ran out of food at the Speedway. To the point where they were handing out plain tortilla chips, which they probably were still charging an arm and a leg for, and hot dogs with no buns.
Hey, I've been in worse spots. What you bitching about? I bet you they're giving away that shit for free. That's free hot dog and chips at the ballpark. Or at the Speedway. Get off it. They ran out of food. It's not like these people were dying of hunger.
Yeah, it's not like they had to stay in the stadium and were sheltered at the stadium.
This wasn't the Superdome during Katrina, for God's sakes.
DoorDash still exists, brother.
I mean, in fairness, I was fully expecting the MLB to make that game happen, regardless. With everything that they put into that event, trying to force it through completion. So I get why people stayed, because they probably paid an arm and a leg to get there, paid for the tickets, the travel, the lodging, all that stuff. They didn't want to miss the game if it did end up getting played. Um, so that just sucks from a crummy fan experience. Um,
They played the next day, didn't they?
Yeah.
yeah, they ended up finishing the next day. Um, so while I think the concept itself was pretty cool, um, it just kind of fell flat on its face, though, unfortunately. I think they got a little cute with it. Just go back to the tried and true. You know what works. Send it to Iowa. Field of Dreams. I'm pretty sure it's under construction or renovations, which is why it's not there this year. But get it back there. Nothing will beat the players coming out of the corn.
Yeah, for me, I think I think it was a dope event. I mean, it's obviously you can't control the rain, so if you remove that from the event, it looked like it was pretty cool. I mean, I saw videos, people had a blast. They liked the collaboration. Seeing how big the MLB stadium is inside that racetrack for a full size stadium was dope. And then they were still able to break the MLB record, right? They had 91,000 fans. So I do agree. I do think the Field of Dreams should be a regular mainstay, but I like the idea of kind of how we talked about with college basketball going out on the like the Navy boats, like just maybe one game, stuff like that, where you do things like that, one race, one MLB game. I like that idea. I don't know how you feel about it, Herb.
Yeah, I like the fact that the MLB is going towards this experimental phase, and that we're seeing a lot of it in the pro leagues. They're very much still trying to figure it out. Speedway's cool. The Iowa thing is awesome. The way that they did that. Here's my question for you guys, and kind of the last bit of baseball here. We talked about they're going to rebuild the Polo Grounds, or a replica of the Polo Grounds. So obviously they'll play in that one day. But like, what's a venue you can think of? You'd be like, oh, that'd be a sick place to have a baseball game,
Ooh, put me on
Bro.
a spot like that.
right?
That's tough.
Right. I think the Coliseum in Los Angeles. I know Dodger Stadium is kind of a hollowed ground, or becoming more of a hollowed ground, even more so, reaching up there with the likes of Fenway and Wrigley and things like that. But they've played baseball in the Coliseum before. The Coliseum holds, I think, 60 to 70,000. It'd be a super cool backdrop. It'd be really cool to see the Dodgers play there. I think they can do it. I just don't, dimensionally, who knows? But that would be my pick, to go play at the Coliseum in downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, I think for me, I started to think when you asked that question, I was like, that's such a tough question because my first thought is some places in Italy, right? You know, the Colosseum and some shit like that. That's just thinking crazy because obviously for player safety and for obviously the historical value of some of these places, you can't do that. Same thing with because you know how like in Egypt, the if you look to the left a little bit of the pyramids, it's like a community, a golf course, I think, right? It's like
There are some out there, yeah.
yeah, you literally venture a few degrees, and there's like a golf course. So like, I was thinking if you were able to put a baseball game there, but it's like I don't know if that takes away from the historical
Put
value that
it.
something like that does.
Just put it in the Coliseum, right?
Call the Saudis. They'll figure it out, dude. If you want a game in the desert, the Saudis are looking at the dollars here, man. They're all about it.
I'll take the Homer pick. It would be cool to see it in Omaha. They host the College World Series already, and they go all out for that. The city, like in its entirety, goes all out for that. Um, so I think that would be my pick. I just think it's really hard to squeeze a baseball field into a lot of these historical venues from other sports. Because if it was something that could easily be done, it would have been done millions of times ago already. But I just saw a baseball game at the was it US or no Bank of America Stadium where the Panthers play when the Savannah Bananas were in town, and the dimensions there were so jacked. I think down the right field lot, what was it? No, right field line. It had to have been maybe 220 feet or
Hell yeah.
measured feet. Yeah.
Let's get back to weird
It's
dimensions
atrocious.
in baseball stadiums, dude. Let's get back to the short porches. Let's get back to the fucking. Let's stop making this shit cookie cutter.
Oh, dude, that reminds me. every once in a blue moon, I'll be scrolling on TikTok and I'll just get this video going through just wild dimensions of a high school stadium, and it'll be like like the dimensions of it are absolutely absurd.
Center's
Like,
at 200 and the foul poles are at 450. Good luck.
there was one where I saw there was literally a tree in the outfield, like literally in the outfield.
They overcome adversity out there.
But Rob, did you see the clip? Because I never realized, because I don't care enough about NASCAR, how so they dude hit a home run during that game at Bristol, and
Bangs off the thing, right? Yeah.
it rolls down the track, and a dude who, for whatever reason's out there, gets the ball, and he was gonna throw it over the fencing to the fans that were watching.
Too steep.
He didn't come fucking close.
What do you get it up halfway? I bet you got it halfway up that track.
It
Yeah,
was
it's a
not
little
close.
embankment, right? That embankment's trying to trying to walk up. It's trying to nuts, especially on a super speedway like Bristol.
I was not familiar with their game. That's crazy.
You know what? I did. It was an old guy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it an old guy?
Yeah.
What was he thinking? That fence has got to be 15, 20 foot tall to begin with. You weren't making it up on flat ground, buddy. I did see that. Yeah, that's a tough look. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what he was thinking.
I applaud the effort.
Sure. Just walk up it and go hand the ball to a kid, man.
Well,
Getting blasted all over the internet for it.
according to Rob, you can't really do that either.
You can walk. I mean, you might have a heart attack walking up that embankment at that age, but you'll be all right. You'll figure it out.
Okay. That's baseball. We'll get back to them in probably October.
Go Cubs, baby.
Once playoffs start. Switch gears over to the NBA news. Quick couple extensions to touch on. Luka signed a 3-year, $165 million extension with the Lakers, which I think he left a little bit of money on the table just so then he can capitalize for his next extension, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the inner workings of that. And then the other big one was Herb, who is the guy plays in Texas, I think.
The other signing, De'Aaron Fox. Yeah, I've heard of him.
Oh, yeah. That's who it was. 4 years, $229 million, which comes out to 57.25 mil a year AAV with the Spurs. That kind of came out of the blue. I feel like last time we talked NBA, we were talking about how we're going to be seeing contracts change in the future. Like, we're not just going to be seeing players get the max just because they're up for a max because of the aprons and everything now. And then the Spurs go and give De'Aaron Fox, who, fine, yeah, he is a good basketball player. I'm not saying he's not. But to pay him top of the market money when he might be the 6th or 7th best point guard in the league seems a little bit of an overspend in my opinion, with where the salary cap environment is and where it's going to be.
Rob, you broke this one. You broke
Which one, the De'Aaron Fox?
Yeah, you were the insider on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I got thoughts on both De'Aaron Fox and Luka, but De'Aaron Fox, I mean, Isaiah had a few points there where I mean, when you look at his contract, he's looking at 57 million, but I mean, I feel like that's going to be we're just moving up the fucking baseline, it feels like. And for a 26, 27-year-old point guard that goes out and gets you 23 to anywhere from 23 to 26 points a game.
Wait, De'Aaron Fox is only like 26, 27 years old still?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
He
one
came
and
into the
done at
league young.
Kentucky.
Dude, that's the thing about NBA that still throws me off like a mofo. He is 27 and he's already played 8 years in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Okay, sorry, Rob. Didn't mean to
So,
derail you.
yeah, so I mean, I think the Spurs until Wembanyama comes up and maybe Castle and those guys are due for a contract. Why not? They're not paying anybody else, I don't imagine, unless it's a vet of some sort that comes in. So with that being said, I'm not mad about it.
Don't forget Luke Cornett's out there. He might be one of the top 3 highest paid players on that team right now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. See, but
Oh,
Rob,
I think Keldon Johnson's getting paid a decent amount.
but Rob, to your point, like you mentioned that Wemby contract, that's coming. So that was my confusion on this contract signing was the length and the value. 2 years time, you're going to pay Wemby. Year after that, you got to pay Castle. Year after that, or in that frame, you got to pay. Is it Vassell? Right? He's the other guard out there. Like they've got guys who are scheduled to get paid. So like getting the De'Aaron Fox deal done while you still have the money, I get the length of it. You're now anticipating you're going to be paying 3, 4, 5 dudes big time money. And obviously they have big plans with how young all these guys are. But that was the confusion for me was you got some superstars coming up on contract. So
Yeah, I think Wembanyama. I think it's projected summer of 2026, and I mean, I don't. Depends on how the contract. I've seen some things that say 5 million, 225 type, or 5 years, 225 type beat. Um, but if you're paying those guys both upwards of 50 million a year, obviously those are your corner pieces. And with, like you said, De'Aaron Fox is only 27 years old. It's not like he's 32, 33 on his way out. I think
and
they could build something down there.
maybe that'll be a super tradable contract in a year or two, with the dollar values keep going up and maybe he's a super value at that for somebody. So yeah, it could work out. I'm not going to sit here and shit on it.
And
I think the timing. Sorry.
I was going to say, I do want to add, like, I'm sure Popovich, the new head coach GM that kind of stepped in, I'm sure they instilled in him that, what the Spurs are all about. And they're not just out here. They've never really been out here just signing random players, right? So you kind of got to have a little trust in that front office as opposed to some other Texas franchises.
Shout out Nico.
What I was gonna say is the timing just feels weird to me. Like, yes, I do understand it was Fox's last year of his contract, but we don't even know how well he fits in with Wembanyama. I don't even know if they played a game together. I think, or if they did, it was very limited before Wembanyama went out with his injury last season. So we don't even know how good of a fit he is next to Wembanyama. So for all we know, that could be a disaster potentially. And now you're stuck paying this dude $57 million a season for a fit that's kind of clunky. That doesn't make a ton of sense. We're able to get draft lottery. You were able to get Dylan Harper in the draft lottery when nobody expected them to jump that high. So they were able to get their point guard of the future. It's confusing to me. I feel like they had an opportunity to wait a little bit before doing that. But that's just me. And that's NBA. That was talking NBA. Talk about them in a couple months. Now we can get to the real meat and potatoes of today's episode, which is football, the one sport everybody cares about. And I know Rob pointed it out the other day that the preseason coaches poll was released, and it looks like we are officially set up for a 1 versus 2 showdown to start the season when Texas visits the Horseshoe here at the end of the month. But I will say, looking through the rankings, there was I would say, a pretty decent distribution of first, uh, number one votes spread across a couple teams. We had Texas with 28, Ohio State with 20, Penn State with 14, and then Georgia and Clemson received 3 and 2, respectively. Um, and then the other big thing was for those people at keeping track at home, the big conference fans out there. SEC once again led the pack with not just 9 teams in the top 25 overall, but 4 teams ranked in the top 9. And then just behind them, you had the Big Ten with 6 teams, Penn State being the highest at, I believe, or Ohio State being the highest, and then Penn State. So a little bit top heavy there. And then the Big 12 had 5 teams as well. So essentially, the top 25 is the top teams from the SEC, Big 10, and Big 12. But I'll flip it over to you guys and get your thoughts and opinions, if you do have any, at this point.
I'm not mad about this. Go ahead, Rob. Hit him.
I was going to say, I mean, it just feels like I do focus a little bit more on the AP Top 25, which is obviously out, I think, next week. But this is kind of an indication of where we're at. I feel like Penn State just lives in that 3 to 4, second to fourth range, it feels like. They can't win the big games, but somehow they're always up there. And then Texas and Ohio State, with it being the first game of the season, right? I mean, it just makes sense from a storyline perspective. And Texas just probably had a little bit more recruits, or maybe the faith in Arch Manning compared to who's coming in for Will Howard up there might be a little bit better. So that's why Texas got the nod here. But I mean, the state of college football, these top 10 teams are probably the top 10 in NIL money across the board. But I do want to shout out Michigan. AJ, you're at Michigan at 14. Then obviously Iowa State's on the list. I didn't think they were going to make the list. Just with them I think they lost 8 or 9 players to the NFL, whether it's drafted or undrafted free agents. So yeah, I think they're at 22nd. So kind of happy with they are. Hopefully in the AP pool, I think they'll be in the late 20s as well.
My only gripe with this whole thing is why the fuck is Illinois at 12? I get it. They had a great year last year. They're not going to come close to that this year again. Love the fact that we're getting a 2022 matchup for Rob Cyclones Week 1 in Dublin. I expect Iowa State to climb in a big hurry. If they leave them out of the AP, I think that's disrespectful to this point. Yeah, they didn't look great in the Big 12. So be it. They looked pretty solid all year. Expect Iowa State to climb in a big way. Shout out Michigan. Also, can we get BYU out of this, because I don't believe in BYU now that their starting quarterback, who carried that team, is now going to Tulane. I don't think BYU is going to even touch double-digit wins again this year. That's just me, but I'm not mad about this.
Yeah,
So
BYU being there was definitely, because I was like, didn't they just lose their starting quarterback like a month and a half ago? And then also Boise State, I was like, didn't they just lose their whole team and Genty to the draft? So them being in the top 25 was definitely weird for me as well.
So it sounds like I know the answer for this question I'm about to pose to you guys, but every single season we look at the preseason polls, and there's always a team or two that just falls on their face, shits down their leg, and just puts up a very mediocre, if not a downright awful season for where their expectations were to start the season. Last year, the best example of that, Florida State. Still don't really know what the fuck happened. So I'll pose the question to you guys as to just looking at the coaches poll that was released. Who do you think that team is going to be? Or Herb, it sounds like yours were Illinois and BYU. I
Well,
would.
if you're going to pose it like that, yeah, I think those two are going to fall in a big way. But this is a team that I can't not shit on, and I can't stand them for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is, but I can't. Texas A&M every year top 25. Shit, they've been ranked high as 10. They shit the bed and they end up 500 in the SEC, and everyone's going, "Oh, what happened?" Well, the same shit that happens every year. So give me A&M for that one.
The two I have to throw out have to be Arizona State. Well, I do think Dillingham is a fantastic coach down there. I feel like Cam Scatabo did a whole damn a lot of things. That sentence was fucking janky as hell. He carried that team for good parts of last season, and I know Levitt is a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's going to be able to carry the team by himself. And then Michigan, to me, just feels too high. No offense to you, Herb. The uncertainty at quarterback just freaks me out. I know they gave an absolute bag to Underwood, but the reports that I've been seeing out of camp have been hit or miss as to what that might look like in year one. So for them to be ranked at 14th right now seems a little bit too high. Um, Hope they prove me wrong, but seems a little high. So those are the two teams that I think will probably fall off.
For me, this is a different question, like Herb said. For me, it would be, I think Miami at being at 10. I think losing Cam Ward and losing the 6, 7, 8 people that you lost in the draft. And who are you bringing in? You're bringing in Carson Beck, and you're paying him $6 million a year. I think 10 is too high. I think they're going to lose a couple games early and start to slip. The other one on here is something we talked about the other day, was SMU. Herb, I think, right, they made the move to the ACC. I think they had a little Cinderella story. I'm not going to say they can't go out and win games, but I do think they kind of just glided the way to the ACC last year, and I think this year it might be a little, second year in, you're kind of getting not going to go as smoothly as it did in the last year, I think, for SMU. So I think SMU will fall out pretty quickly.
But their quarterback is really fun to watch play football, unless it's at Happy Valley in a playoff game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll keep talking about college football. Touch on the AP poll when it drops next week.
Hey, real quick, Rob, who's your early front runner for the Heisman?
Rocco Beck, baby.
There it is. I just want to make sure we got that before the season kicked off, but I just want to make sure that was on paper somewhere.
That's my bias pick. I haven't came to my conclusion on my actual pick yet.
All right, well,
I'll get back to you.
Hey, for the editor that does that clip, make sure to just put up the FanDuel prop as to what his odds are right here, and say you heard it here first.
Rocco Beck is a dog, though.
he is a dog. I'll give you that.
But we can switch gears over to the NFL. The big news, I would say, was came across the desk earlier, mid workday for us working folks. Kyren Williams was extended 3 years, $33 million. I believe 23 of that was guaranteed. So the AAV on that comes out to 11 million. Again, I am really dumb and don't understand how NFL contracts work because it all has to do with the guarantees and where those are spread out. But if we go by AAV, I think that places him at about 7th or 8th highest paid running back now. But I do believe that the guarantees that he got in that contract were like top 10 maybe given out like ever to a running back. If that could also, would be a perfect, don't quote me, on that. Um, but I know you guys had some opinions, so I'll let you lead it off before I get into my analytical rant.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm not mad about it. I think he has 31 touchdowns in the last 2 years. There definitely are injury concerns, obviously present with, I think this year he played 15, 16 games, and then the prior year I think it was 11, 12 games. But I do think it is hard to find a running back that can score, that can get you 11, 1,200 yards. And I know he gets a lot of carries, and I know we talk about that. He's still young. He's still 20. I think he just turned 24 years old. Um, so for me, when I'm looking, you are right. I think he's seventh and contracts for running backs. And that's not to say that the market's not going to get reset here I imagine Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to reset the market, or Bijan Robinson. One of these guys is going to come in and reset the market. So getting him at what you got him at, even though there is guaranteed money there, I think it's a risk you take. $11 million a year. I know that running backs just aren't notorious for getting paid, but obviously with what we saw in the last year or two, with these running backs kind of wanting to get paid, I think it was smart by the Rams to do. I know you have Blake Corum and the other guy you just drafted, but I think Kyren is your guy, and you know that. So 11 million, I think I'm fine with.
Dude, if we were sitting here talking about an 18 to 20 million dollar a year contract, I think all three of us would be talking about how terrible a deal that is for this running back. At 11, I like it a lot. It doesn't. You're not putting him on the tier with Saquon, Gibbs, Henry, but I think he's certainly in that second tier of running back in the league. He's been your workhorse for the last 2 seasons with all the issues at wide receiver that they've had in LA. I don't hate this whatsoever. And Rob, you said he's 24. By the end, he's 27, 28. Then you've got a real look at what he is as a running back in the league and what he's going to end up being. I'm not mad about this whatsoever. I mean, the guy's a fucking workhorse. And you got him at 11 million.
Okay, do I have the floor? You guys can mute me for a second if you'd like. But I'll just reiterate the things that I said into the group chat earlier that Herb told me to either I have to redo for the pod or
I mean, we have a sports podcast. Let's talk sports.
so I'll start off by saying, and I know Rob and I kind of agree on this, but PFF did have him ranked as the 32nd rated running back out of 47 last season. Not great. I don't know exactly what goes into that, but usually when you're at the bottom half of that, not great. If we go back to his combine athleticism score, which takes into account all of the different broad jump and 40-yard dash and blah, 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 blah. He scored a 91.6 on that. So out of the 2022 draft class, running back draft class that he was a part of, that ranked 59th out of 64. Not great. All time for a running back, 710 out of 763. Also not great. And then just on top of that, he was one of the most inefficient running backs. Yes, I understand he is a workhorse, and they kept feeding him the ball, but he was one of the most inefficient running backs when it came to the amount of carries that he was receiving. So the picture that I had sent to you guys stated that of the 31 running backs with 150 plus carries in 2024, he ranked 25th in yards per carry, 27th in yards after contact per carry, 23rd in tackles avoided per carry, 29th in explosive run rate, 28th in yards per route run, and his where he ranked best obviously was fantasy PPR points because he just got the ball a shit ton. And while I will not fault the man for getting paid, like go out and get your bag, right? from a Rams perspective, I just don't understand like what they are doing. Like Rob touched on it, they've spent good draft capital the last couple seasons in Blake Corum in the 3rd round 2 years ago, and then um, this Hunter guy in the 4th round this year. I don't understand why you're using those draft picks on running backs if you fully intended on paying Kyren to be your starter here at least for the next 2 seasons and just going to get some bargain bin veteran on a minimum or something like that. Because we already know that the Rams have an aging roster. They have money, that they have high money players at a lot of different positions already. So they could have definitely could have been beneficial for them to use those draft picks to backfill some of those other positions, knowing that they're not going to be able to keep handing out these big money contracts moving forward. And I know Rob said in the group chat earlier just about the statistical stats that Williams put up. So I think he had 31 touchdowns the last 2 years where he's been quote unquote like the starter. And he's only 24, so you would think 31 touchdowns for a 24-year-old running back, that should return good value. I do want to remind you guys of a good old guy by the name of Todd Gurley. And if we remember correctly, he had a 2-year stretch where he actually scored 40 touchdowns. His age 23 and 24 age seasons. You know how many more seasons he played after signing that big extension, which was at the time reset the entire market, kind of reset the wide receiver contracts, and kind of started the downward trajectory that we've seen as such. He played 2 more seasons, fellas.
With glass knees.
Yes.
With
Yeah,
glass
he's in
knees.
college
with
though.
with
Yes.
a big asterisk. We knew the injury history there. I don't think Kyren's is that bad, but I think the underlying numbers from Gurley were a lot better than Kyren. He just had knees that were rubbing. He just had cartilage rubbing on it. Nothing he really could do about that. So I just want that to serve as kind of like the base reminder of, while at a surface value, at face value, I think this contract will end up being just fine for the Rams. It could also get really ugly, and they're gonna have to eat some money on the back end real quick.
I think they're
At
going
the
to be
same time,
fine. I mean, you mentioned the draft and all that. You look at that draft, that 2022 draft class. He's arguably the best running back in it. I, it'd be real hard pressed at 11 million for me to be upset with this contract in any form. Again, dude's a workhorse, but coming out of that draft class, taken in the 5th round, Rob, is that correct?
Yeah, I think he was a
Kyren.
5th-round pick.
I mean, he is probably the best running back to come out of that class. I think James Cook was in that one, and that's the only other name.
Yeah,
Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, Brian Robinson, James Cook.
Yeah, Kyron's produced far more than any of those guys to this point, and I know injuries and other things. But Rob, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I too am fine with the deal just because we're acting like it's 20-something million. It's 11 million a year, and I know that's very small. But also, to your point about other players that were in that draft or at least coming up due. I mean, Travis Etienne's going to be a free agent soon. Obviously, we all think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to probably reset the market, I imagine. And then, you got dudes like Javonte Williams and other guys that are going to be coming up to a deal. And
Bijan's going to get a huge deal.
Javonte Williams is not getting more than a couple $1 million thrown his way.
No, but he'll have to re-sign soon. But Bijan,
you have to re-sign. I'm saying we're going to get a figure out. This is just kind of one. We're going to start seeing the next year kind of where the baseline is. Is 11 million the new baseline? You know what I mean? Because like a few years ago, 3-4 million was the baseline. Some dudes got 9, some dudes got 10. The top dollar got 11. That's obviously escalated. Is 11 the new your starter makes 10, 11 million a year, unless he's a dog, and then he makes 20. Is that
You're,
kind of the new thing?
yeah, you're saying like
That's how
that tier
that's how
2
much
running
Jones
back,
got. The Vikings extended Jones for to bring him back.
and he right now is kind of that low second tier running back in the league as it sits. So yeah,
He
that
also
makes
can't
sense.
stay healthy.
It will be interesting to see what the um, upper level players at the position end up making, like the Gibbs, because I know we just saw that big Barkley deal, but I still don't know what's going on with running back contracts. Like some teams are a lot more willing to shell out guaranteed money to that position compared to others. And like I wouldn't be shocked if like Detroit just came and handed Gibbs $20 million. Like, here you go. And I wouldn't
They're
blink
gonna
an
have
eye.
to.
Yeah,
I'd be like, that is completely worth it. Do the Lions see it that way? Do other NFL teams
Lions
see it that
love
way?
resetting the market, bro. They're gonna pay him.
You would think, but it's the one position where I can't like definitively say like, yep, it's a foregone conclusion. Like this dude is about to get like paid, you know.
I mean, even if you put it into perspective of, okay, Saquon's deal is almost 21 million a year. Do you think Kyren is productive enough to make half of what Saquon makes? That's a kind of a perspective to put it. And I think production wise, unless an injury happens, I think that is well worth the value. That's kind of how I look at some of these contracts.
I hadn't thought about it like that. That's a good way to think about that.
Because Saquon reset it at 21. Obviously, CMC had, I think, 19. But 21 is kind of that's a big jump. I mean, that's a 2-3 million jump for these guys.
And I do think we're going to be sitting here a year from now talking about the pissing contest of Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson for potentially a 4 to 5 year, $80 to $100 million contract with $50 million guaranteed type thing. That's going to be fucking nuts.
I do want to add. I think Genty makes what, 8-9 million a year.
Enough to shop for
Because of his
$20 million mansions, bro.
His fantasy deal, I think, since he was drafted so high, I think he's making 8-9 million a year.
Hey, real quick, he's also talk about like a sponsorship deal. I just saw an ad that Ashton Genty has with Sharpie, and he's like, "When I'm signing my autographs, I prefer Sharpie." Like, what a niche, obscure.
Genty
like,
got to the league and he's like, I just need money, bro.
just bro, if the local car dealership needs a face, I'm there, bro. Like, hit me up.
His deal made him the 11th highest paid running back this upcoming season without playing down.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
His deal, if he performs like everybody thinks he's, we're going to be talking 25 million for running back.
It's probably going to increase 23 to 25 by then, probably, at least, you would think.
Fucking nuts.
I mean, it's crazy to think just a couple seasons. It couldn't have been more than 2 years ago, right? When Jonathan Taylor got extended. He's only getting paid 14 mil.
And that was big money then. They were like, oh, shit.
Like, we gave Josh Jacobs 12 million, and that was big money.
So
I mean, not crazy money, but that was like, okay.
For the Packers to spend that on a running back, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So it does then beg the question with what the reports coming out of Bills camp in the fact that James Cook is not practicing. By all the reports coming in, it seems like he is now officially performing a hold in. So he's wanting a new contract before he plays it down this season. I already had a tough time trying to guess what to pay him and what he is worth because last year was an outlier. There's no way to get around it. He scored 18 touchdowns on was it at the ground or total? But he only had just over 1,000 yards. Like, he's gonna regress this season. Based off this Kyren contract that comes out, how much do you think they're going to pay him? Because I think I saw reports out there he was looking for 13-14 million plus per season.
And I think it's a different situation in terms of relationship between player and organization than Kyren. I would put James Cook like him and Kyren are right there on that tier 2 together. So I think what's going to hurt the Bills is in terms of the Kyren deal. Kyren, there was no public, we didn't hear about this conversation, and Kyren wasn't talking about wanting a new deal publicly and what he wanted dollar value. Whereas I think James is holding a few more cards in that negotiation with Buffalo. So I think ultimately they're going to pay him $13 to $15 million, and it's going to cost him more than it did the Rams, plain and simple. If they would have got this deal done a year ago, like they probably should have, then you're looking at that same deal Kyren got, I bet.
Yeah, I think we're in a pissing contest right now, and I think the deal's going to get done. I think Josh Allen's going to want that deal done. I think Buffalo will take care of him, and we'll probably be saying if he settles at 12, 13 a year, I think that's a win for all parties. I feel like I'm not a huge on James Cook. I know some people are. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it gets done, or else they just say we move on and see you later. I don't know, but I don't think Buffalo would do that.
If they
I
pay more
think
than $15 million, though, that's a mistake.
I think but the one thing that he has going for him though, and Kyron kind of had it going for him a little bit, is the Buffalo Bills are a win now team. Like they need him on the field.
Correct.
Like they already are lacking at the skill positions. They need James Cook out there to be successful. And I know the offense lives and die by Josh Allen. Josh Allen needs James Cook out there. And I think because of that, we may see a slight overspend compared to what we think he's probably worth. Like I personally wouldn't want to pay him more than what Green Bay paid Jacobs last year, which was 12 million that Rob said. But I know for a fact he's going to get paid more than that.
I think the Bills need James Cook more than James Cook needs the Bills in a big way. I'll agree with you on that. You think it's going to be north of $15 million?
No, no shot.
I hope
Uh,
not.
It would be
I,
a crazy negotiation skills by his agent if he can get more than 15 mil.
I think if you meet in the middle at 13, 13-5, hey, let's go win some football games, boys.
Yeah,
I think that's the
you guarantee 2 years of that contract, like
yeah.
basically what Kyren got. No, are you any worse off than you are now? Because if
3 year, 39 million or something like that.
if he sits, they're. I mean, who's their running back after Cook? You know what I mean? Like we can't even name it. It's not like they have a
Ray
1-2
Davis.
punch.
Ray Davis.
Ray Davis.
Right?
If the Buffalo Bills want to win football games, it won't be on the back of Ray Davis. I'll tell you that much.
Hey, they invested draft capital into that man.
Yeah, Ray Davis probably ain't gonna get it done.
Fuck yeah, it was Ray Davis. Ty Johnson's also there still.
Again, it's the Bills need James more than James needs the Bills at this point. And Rob, to your point, yeah, absolutely. Josh Allen's going to go to the front office and go, get the deal done now.
Stop fucking around. Give me my guy.
What do I need to take a cut on to get him this shit done? Because that's my dude.
Yep. Other NFL news. Officially, Jordan Addison has officially been suspended 3 games by the NFL for breaking the substances of abuse policy. Big shocker there. As a Vikings fan, we all knew it was coming. I'm glad it finally was announced so we can finally deal with it and move on. And hopefully he puts all these legal troubles behind him because when he's playing, he's a really good player, but he's had these off-the-field issues. So the biggest non-news news out there, Addison, for you fantasy owners out there, might be a little bit of a steal later in the draft. Keep that on the back of your head when these drafts come up over the next couple of weeks. Anything you guys want to add on Mr. Addison catching that suspension?
I mean, I think we all saw it coming, right? I think everyone hit it on the head as the James too. It was just a matter of when it was kind of ruled. So yeah, glad it's done early, and then they could focus on JJ getting better and figuring out that how that offense is going to look.
And all I can think is what a absolute detriment to JJ McCarthy this is in terms of his development, technically, or not technically, but basically a rookie. You want all your weapons out there. You want to get things cooking. So it's going to hurt the Vikings big, I think, in the first 3 weeks. But obviously, he'll come back in and be a firework for you guys. So do the crime, got to do the time, right?
Luckily for JJ, we have plenty of weapons still that hopefully should alleviate some of that pain. It's not like it was our one weapon and now he's out there throwing to a bunch of freaking nobodies. Luckily. But we'll see. Obviously, it hurts not having him out on the field. Other NFL news. Mia, I know I don't want to talk about it either, but the Browns did add another quarterback. Added Snoop Huntley to the roster. I think this more so was just they needed an arm for practice because Gabriel and Pickett are both dealing with leg injuries, and then Sador has shoulder soreness, I believe. So I think they're just bringing him in because he's familiar with the offense and they need somebody to throw some rocks this week. So I wouldn't read too deeply into it like Herb did. But
See, I think it's the opposite. I think this is the Browns are in panic mode because they've got 4 guys. They know I think Flacco is going to be their guy. I think they're in panic mode. I think they're going to end up trading one of the dudes that they currently have outside of Huntley. And I think Huntley's got a real chance to be a number 2 on this team. He's played in games recently. He's played okay in games recently, but I think this is signaling that the Browns quarterback room is in fucking trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more the injury thing. I mean, one of them has a hamstring, one of them has shoulder soreness or whatever. I think that he's just out there, and they obviously don't know what the fuck they're doing. So I think that plays a role. But everything we're seeing, Dylan Gabriel is not. I mean, I sent you guys that thing. You know, he's missing wide open passes. It sounds like Shador is having struggling days as well. Then you also have Kenny Two Gloves on the roster, right? He's second on the depth chart, I think, right now behind Joe Flacco. So Kenny Pickett is still there. I don't know what the Browns are doing, bro. Because even with those guys, injury or not, you can make it work. But it's not like they're in a win now mode. And oh yeah, they also have Deshaun Watson. So
I was just about to say,
forget that
where's
name.
Deshaun in all this?
Yeah,
we don't have to mention him.
he's still there. So.
We don't. It still doesn't need to be mentioned.
He's up in the press box watching the games, bro. That's where he is.
Jesus, it is a nightmare. It is a nightmare. I think they need to trade Pickett as quick as they can.
They just got Pickett. They just traded for Pickett.
Yeah, he's not going to win you a ball game. I'll tell you that much. Also, real quick, with the Shador shoulder thing, have you guys heard like the stupidity behind that whole thing?
I know it was dumb enough where he still got announced as the starter for this weekend's game.
Yeah, so he's not getting a lot of reps like in team practice portions, right? Like he's going through all the quarterback drills, but he's getting minimal reps with team stuff. So he's showing up early and staying after and getting working and throwing, which I can appreciate from a guy that you expect to one day play quarterback for your organization. But his shoulder's sore because he's doing too much pre and post practice shit. So hey, here's an idea. Tone that shit down a little bit. I get you're committed, you want to show the team that you're working, but it's not doing you any favors throwing before and after practice so you can't get in with the fucking team. That's how silly that is.
I do want to applaud Shador, though. I mean, obviously the circus that we saw pre-draft, it is a lot tamer than I thought it would be up there. I thought we'd have a circus, and he didn't even let his dad come visit. He's trying to just played it under the radar, so I do got to respect that as far as what Shador is doing up there. Even if it doesn't work out, which it sounds like, who knows?
I think he's going to be the number 3 quarterback on the team, and I think Gabriel, based on the last week, we got a lot of preseason games to go here too. But as it sits right now for me, I think Shador's making that team, and Gabriel's on the P squad or cut.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to follow. Just with how much their dumbasses invested into the position now, they're going to have to cut 1, if not 2 draft picks that they just made, which is not going to look great.
Especially when one of them was a third round pick.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. But again, it's the Browns too, so who really gives a fuck at the same time? Okay, fellas, I don't really have anything else major from an NFL perspective. If you guys don't, we can roll into our NFL team preview if you guys would like.
Go for it, big dog.
KKK. We're rolling into the NFC East this week. So we're going to run through similar to last week, go through each of the teams, additions, departures, draft, areas of concern, and kind of what our thoughts for the season are going to look like. So I feel like it only makes sense to start with the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champs. Eagles fly, I believe is the phrase. They went 14-3 last season, first in the division, obviously, winning that Super Bowl in blowout fashion over the Kansas City Chiefs. They had a lot of departures that I think may impact them, which obviously is going to happen as a successful Super Bowl winning team. They lost Milton Williams to the Patriots. Darius Slay is gone. Josh Sweat is gone. Brandon Graham retired. And one that's not being thrown out as frequently, Kellen Moore, is gone as offensive coordinator after taking the head coaching gig in New Orleans. They did have some additions to try and ease some of the pain there. They brought in Aziz Ojolari, linebacker from the Giants, Kenyon Green, lineman from Houston, Joshua Usay, and Adoree Jackson at cornerback. And then they did make Howie Roseman does it again, make some solid draft picks, getting Jahad Campbell, who a lot of people had as an upper echelon first round talent, but because of the Jesus Christ,
Hey,
the
you got to
shoulder,
stop drinking before the podcast.
the
Golly.
the shoulder surgery that he had leading up to the draft caused him to fall, and they were able to nab him at the end of the first round. And then they were also able to grab Andrew Makuba.
There you go. Hey.
Let's go! Safety from Texas. Just adding to what I would say was already somewhat of a position of strength after their draft picks last year, but it never hurts to add to the depth. But the concerns, before I toss it over to you guys, is can the defense hold up after losing the key vets that I just mentioned? Is Kellen Moore's departure going to disrupt the offense in any tangible way? And the real question, at least for fantasy owners, is can Saquon repeat his historical season that he had last year?
Yeah, boys, for me, I mean, I don't have much on the Eagles, to be honest with you. I think when you look at their draft and departures and things like that, they're just retooling, bro. A lot of those draft picks are just backups now, but eventually could be starters. Like, it's a lot of depth. Their starters are kind of all figured out. I do want to mention some names I like. Jahad Campbell, out of Alabama, their middle linebacker. Um, he's looking good. I think he could possibly, depending on how Nakobe Dean comes back. I mean, they're saying that this guy can, play with Zach Bond and things like that, and they could be lethal and make that defense that much better. Someone they got in the fourth round too is Ty Robinson, which is that D tackle from Nebraska. I think he's like 6'5", 310. I mean, they're just retooling up there, bro. I think Saquon, with that offensive line being arguably one of, if not the best offensive line in the league, I think Saquon is going to continue to do Saquon things. You did lose an offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, but I think the way that system is built up there, it's not going to be like the Lions losing Ben Johnson. I don't think too highly of Kellen Moore as is. So I don't think that has a huge impact on the team. But I think there's probably still going to take the NFC East. I think they go 12-5. I think the Eagles are going to do Eagles things. I think that they have really great players. They're very well rounded, and one could argue very well coached. You could make that argument about Sirianni, the way he's held that team together, even though through all the, I wouldn't even say turmoil, but all that stuff that was coming out about the locker room and things like that. I think he handled it well. I think they got a team up there in Philadelphia.
Dude, I'm not worried about these Eagles at all. You guys said it. They just retooled. And truthfully, Isaiah, I understand you bringing up all those veteran guys on defense, but they retooled with young guys who have been in the league 2-3 years. Like this team, the more you look at them, the scarier they keep getting. You try to find a weak spot and you can't. I'm glad you shouted out Ty Robinson because I think that kid's going to be a starter one day. If they decide to move off of Jordan Davis or Jalen Carter when those contracts come due next year and the year after. So one guy I did want to shout out on their defense who apparently has had a great camp, and I watched a couple clips of him. Keely Ringo, corner out of Georgia, second year guy, in an already very crowded DB room. I think he's going to end up being that guy starting opposite of Mitchell, to be honest with you, and then they'll pick their spots, use DeJean. So yeah, I mean we're talking 13, 14 wins again, and all signs are pointing like they're going to be running deep into the playoffs again. So good for the
I'm running
Eagles.
deep into that tush push, baby.
Yeah. Hey, one name though I do want to throw out there is we might see Dallas Goedert get traded. They have a lot of depth. They don't have a lot of great names, but you've got so many weapons on offense. If there's value to trade Goddard, which they talked about last year, go after it again this year if you can. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't need to beat a dead horse. You guys have kind of hit on it. Um, they're going to be really good again this year. That defense is just going to get better with how young it is and how well some of those dudes performed last year as rookies, specifically Mitchell and DeSheen. Um, but then you have Jordan Davis, who's coming in the best shape of his life here, and then you still have Jalen Carter out there, who, because he is more of a D tackle than he is a D end, does not get the credit that he truly deserves. But he is one of the biggest disruptors in the game today. Um, so yeah, it hurts, but Eagles will once again be a contender. I would argue that the NFC runs through Philadelphia until they give us any sort of reason to think otherwise, and that probably means 13 wins again this year. So I did want to throw out one stat, and we can get into it a little bit more when we get to the Cowboys. But I saw something on Twitter the other day where the cap hits for Hurts, AJ Brown, and was it Devontae Smith? I think it was Devontae Smith. Their cap hits were $46 million for this upcoming season. You want to take a shot as to the cap hit for Dak Prescott for this upcoming season?
I think it's upwards of mid 50s, right? 53, 55 probably.
55 on the nose.
Jesus. Jesus.
So
Get used to
I
it,
definitely
boys.
think the Eagles have their window. They know they're in their window, and they are going to try and go for it this next season, next 2 seasons, and then as some of these contracts come due or kick in, then we'll kind of see how they can adjust from there. Moving on to the Washington Commanders. Last season's Cinderella team finished 12-5, second in the division, lost in the NFC Championship game to the aforementioned Philadelphia Eagles. Did make some additions to the squad, bringing in Deebo Samuel to be wide receiver 1 as of right now. Laramie Tunsil mortgaged their entire um, draft picks that they had. Javon Kinlaw And they also did bring in Von Miller as well to replace some of the dudes that they lost in Jonathan Allen and Dante Fowler Jr. They also lost Dynami Brown. I don't know how much we care about that one, but their draft, they had some solid draft picks. Josh Connerly is going to be a stud tackle out there from Oregon, especially if they're able to push him to the right side with Tunsil being in there, give him some time to develop and then eventually take over. I think is going to be a really good future play for them. Trey Amos, cornerback from Old Miss, Jalen Lane, wide receiver from Virginia Tech. And then I don't know if you guys have heard the name yet, but I've been seeing it all over social media with fantasy coming up right now. But Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, running back from Arizona, has been lighting up camp from all reports. Last year he only played, I think it was a game at Arizona due to something with the NCAA and redshirt year and swapping jerseys with a teammate or something ridiculous. NCAA doing NCAA things. So he's a name to watch out for. He might be leapfrogging in that room by the end of the season. But the concerns for this team is there a sophomore slump imminent for Jaden Daniels? Did they do enough to replace production on the defensive line? And really, the biggest question is what's going to happen with Scary Terry?
I mean, for me, I think we do. You mentioned regret a sophomore slump. I think we do see that here. I don't with Dan Quinn doing what Dan Quinn's doing up there. That team is adding the pieces they added. I think they are now the oldest team in the NFL, which is kind of weird when you have such a young, quarterback and running back and stuff like that. But I think they're at 27 and a half, which is a pretty old team, I would say, for the NFL with adding, Laramie Tunsil, you added Debo, you went and added Von Miller, Javon Kinlaw, which is great. These are some nice pieces, but, as far as depth goes, when I look at that defense, I'm not seeing a lot of nice up and coming names outside of Trey Amos. Obviously, went out and got Marshawn Lattimore, which is great if he can stay healthy. But Terry McLaurin, we still don't know what's going on there. Debo, we all know there's injury concerns, just general concerns with Debo in general. But I don't like the lack of wide receiver room. I don't know if Luke McCaffrey is going to be a good third option for you. But we will see some regress. But we're probably, I mean, for them to go 12-5 last year, it's kind of crazy to think about. But I probably think we're looking at a 9-8, 10-7 type season. I think some of that magic wore off a little bit, and teams will figure out the Commanders.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking at the Commanders trying to figure out what they could be or what they should be, you have to look at Houston last year because they were in a very very similar position. Both these teams, young quarterback performed well above what we thought he was going to be doing, make a playoff run, right? And then we saw what happened in Houston was I don't think they did enough in the nitty gritty positions, whereas they went out and got these big flashy names. I think Washington has said, "Fuck it, we're going for broke." Like this season, next season, we are going all in, and I think that's what we're seeing with Von Miller, with Kinlaw. I agree, Rob. They don't have a lot of youth. They're not developing guys. I think their main focus is we're going to develop Jaden. We're going to build the team around Jaden, and we're going to put as many veterans who know how to win as possible. So for that reason, I do think they regress in win total. I don't think they regress as a team. I think we're looking 10-7, 11-6, fighting number two, still making the playoffs. I don't think we see the sophomore slump we saw in Houston with CJ, with Jaden in Washington.
Yeah, I think Washington knows they're trying to capitalize on Jaden Daniels' rookie contract. So I understand the moves that they made. Really like what they did on their offensive line. I think that will be a strength for the team this season. The one thing that does worry me is even without Terry McLaurin, if we put that situation to the side, assume he's playing this upcoming season. I know their wide receiver room didn't do a whole lot for me last season, and they did just fine. But I have never been a huge Deebo Samuel fan. He just looks like a fat piece of lard running out there, just a little chubby
Jesus.
monkey. The chubby monkey
It's a
running out
professional athlete.
there. Chubby monkey. So was he Eddie Lacy.
They said
Went.
they said he's down in weight, man. They said he's looking good. They also said that, and this might just be the coaching staff being the coaching staff, that Luke McCaffrey looks night and day different from last year. So we'll see that when we see it, I guess.
You do
Good
have to
genes.
remember, Luke Caffrey's only been playing wide receiver for, I think, 3 or 4 seasons now. He was a quarterback in Nebraska.
Did you say good? Was that a Sidney Sweeney little clip there, Rob? Good genes?
What? Yeah, good genes, baby. American Eagle, shout out for the sponsorship.
Hey, I don't know if we want to go near that right now. So what do you have them going then, Isaiah?
Trying to think the rest of the teams that we're going to talk about tonight, and I'm also trying to think of the other teams in the NFC. I think safely, I want to say 10-7, take a slight step back, just because they will be playing a harder schedule this upcoming season. I assume Jaden will. It will be hard to replicate what he did last year again. He could have, I don't think to the same level of a drop off as CJ Stroud, but maybe coming back to earth just a little bit. But he also does have Cliff Kingsbury there still, so there is some continuity on that offense as well. So 10-7, 11-6 feels right. I think they'll make the playoffs. Yeah, I think the moves that they made were with the intention of, we're going to try and give this a run, and then once we have to extend Jaden, we'll figure it out then.
And I think they've set the contracts up for a lot of these older guys to expire around that time, which if they did that and it works out in 2 years, 3 years, like, this was a good move.
Yeah, without a doubt. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention for the Commanders. I don't think there is.
Rob needs Austin Eckler to find some life next season, huh, Rob?
I might drop him in my dynasty league.
Oh no!
I'm gonna get Genty, and I'm probably gonna get some depth piece type running back in the 3rd round, probably.
R.I.P. to Austin Eckler on his fantasy team.
Got old fast, brother.
Moving over to America's team, the Dallas Cowgirls.
Stink.
Finished last season 7-10, injury plagued season down there in the Big D. They're in division, missed the playoffs. Big additions: Mike McCarthy is out. A fella by the name of Brian Schottenheimer is in. Brought in George Pickens, Kyer Elm, Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Solomon Thomas. You might recognize the names. You probably won't recognize the play on the field. Departures: DeMarcus Lawrence, Jordan Lewis, Rico Dowdle. Draft: they took Tyler Booker, Donovan Ezra Uku.
Sure.
I think that was pretty good. And then he's an edge from Boston College. And then Jaden Blue, running back from Texas. Big questions going into the season: is Brian Schottenheimer the right guy for the job with all of the pressure there is down there to win? Is this team set up to win? Will Parsons' contract dilemma just derail the season before it even gets started? Because it seems like they are both prepared to let this thing drag on for a hot second. And then lastly, can Dak deliver an approved year coming back from injury?
I mean, for me, last I checked, Jerry Jones is still the owner and GM down there in Dallas. So, I mean, Dallas is just trying to do Dallas things, man. I mean, if we start from the offense, I do like that they added George Pickens. I do like that they have a true number 2 wide receiver. I think Tyler Guyton just got injured, right, Herb? I think he just had some sort of an ACL injury, so we're probably not going to see much of him. I do like that they drafted Tyler Booker, which was up there with one of the best guards in the draft. I don't know if you needed to use a high of a pick to get a player of that caliber.
Thank you.
The running back room you did overhaul. You went out and got Javonte Williams. You went out and got Miles Sanders. They do. They have some experience. They are serviceable. And then you obviously went and drafted Jaden Blue, which oddly enough, reports are coming out saying he is extremely lazy in his running back position. But figure out the Micah Parsons situation. Figure out that defense. That defense should not stay healthy anywhere from Trayvon Diggs to Overshown. I mean, the Cowboys, you're probably going to do Cowboys things. Dak probably have some big games, but I think we're probably looking 9-8, 10, 9-8, 8-9 type season, man. It's going to be an up and down season, and I say that, and it might even get worse just because I didn't like the head coach hire. I didn't think Schottenheimer was the right guy. I didn't think Mike McCarthy was the right guy either, even as a Packers fan. But I didn't think Schottenheimer was the right time or place down there in Dallas. I didn't think that was the right move.
Talk about out of complete fucking left field that hire was. If we're gonna touch on that for a second, I don't think there is anybody out there who so much as thought Brian Schottenheimer had a shot in hell at any head coaching job this time around. And then all of a sudden, Cowboys dragged their feet for too long, and now that's who they're stuck with, it feels like. Definitely wasn't their first option.
Dude, I think maybe this is wishful thinking for me, but I think that this season for the Cowboys, it's all finally going to come to a head. Every piss poor decision that Jerry's made in the last 5 years, dragging his feet on McCarthy, missing out. I think there was probably a conversation way back with the Dion thing. However you feel about that, would Dion be a better head coach for the Cowboys than Schottenheimer? I don't know. Ezekiel Elliott, that whole nightmare and bringing him back. I mean, it just consistently make fucking shit decision after shit decision. You reached on Guyton. You reached on Booker. Thank God that you brought back a veteran. They signed La'el Collins, who played tackle for him for a number of years, but hasn't been in football since he was on the Cowboys practice squad in 2023. Like, I don't care how good you think Dak might be. I don't care how good CD is. This Micah thing is going to loom over this team. I think the whole thing's coming to a head. The Cowboys are going to be picking top 7 next year.
What's your record, big dog?
5-6 wins is what I'm talking about. I think this is an implosion year. And I'm hoping it is a wake-up call for the organization as a whole that it is time for Jerry Jones to step the fuck aside. We know it's never going to happen until he's dead. And I'm not wishing death on Jerry Jones, okay? I don't want anybody running with that. But this is, I think this is going to be the year where it's just bad. I mean, their running back room is shit. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't like Javonte. He is at best a reliable number 2. Miles Sanders' time has passed him by. That's a fact. Jaden Blue apparently is lazier than shit. Don't love that you drafted in, in the 3rd, 4th round? I think it is mistake after mistake after mistake, and this is the year that the bank's going to come calling. You're going to go fucking 5 wins, 6 wins.
Well, Herb, you beat me to the fucking punch because I wanted to say the exact same thing. Yeah, it's just ugly. It's gross. It's it's just what the fuck are we doing down there? Like, they're just paying dudes to pay dudes at this point. They're not getting better. They're one injury away from everything going completely awry, whether it be Dak again at quarterback, or if Micah holds out even so much as a couple games into this season, that defense is shit because you got Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs back there that are hoping and praying, jumping every single pass thrown their way because they just want an interception rather than play literal defense. They got all these other dudes I don't even know on bunch of journeymen. Don't worry, they got Dante Fowler out there. I think that's his 5th team in 5 years or some crazy shit like that. Kenneth Murray's on his 3rd team in 3 years. He's scheduled to be a starter right now. You already have injuries on the offensive line. They're young on the offensive line. Beyond that, even if they weren't injured, there's no continuity going on anywhere, it seems like, on this roster. Like Herb said, this might be one of the ugliest running back rooms I've looked at in a fat second. This, I think the best way to describe it is this running back room would have been perfect in 2022. This would have been a top tier running back room in 2022. Too bad the year's 2025 and one of them doesn't have a leg to run on, and Miles Sanders, I think, has gotten a combined 50 snaps in the last 3 seasons. It feels like. Dak Prescott, if he gets injured again, oh help me God, they may win 3 games. Their backup is Joe Milton, which Joe Milton is very fun to watch play football, but he's not going to win you games. They got no backup option. They are all in on 3 players: Dak, CD, and Micah. They can only count on one reliably at this point in CD, and he still needs somebody to throw him the fucking ball. Dak,
It might be over.
Don't even know.
It might be over.
I don't even know, because him and his agent have been so good in being able to handcuff the Cowboys. I think they are stuck with the extension that he just got. Like, there's so much dead cap or dead money associated with that deal now. They are stuck with him. And it's similar to like the Vikings when we had Kirk Cousins. Good quarterback will give you good stats, will not win you the games that need to be won, whether that be in the regular season to make the playoffs, or once you make it to the playoffs, he's not going to win the fucking games. So, I don't know. I feel like the Cowboys just need a fucking reset. Get rid of some of these big contracts that they have out there and start over. But they're not going to fucking do that because Jerry Jones is there. So, yes, I agree with Herb. I think we're looking at 5-6 wins for this team. The Giants could be fucking giving them a run for their money come the end of the season, in complete honesty, in my opinion. It doesn't look great. They're going to be duking it out for last in the division. Ooh, wow, I got hot and heavy on that one. Giants, final team. Wrap it up here. Last season, 3-14, 4th in the division. Giants gonna giant. Redid their entire quarterback room, bringing in Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, along with drafting Jackson Dart. They also brought in Javon Holland, safety from Miami, Paulson Adebo, cornerback from New Orleans, and Roy Robertson Harris. Las Aziz, Ajulari, Isaiah Simmons, Darren Waller, Adoree Jackson. But they did have, I would say, a really good draft. They brought in Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart, Darius Alexander, or Bear Alexander, and then Cam Scatabo, running back from Arizona, which reports out of camp are saying very, very nice things about him right now. They're saying they see some Christian McCaffrey in his game, which that's never a bad thing to be compared to a player like that. So questions for this team. Who's the starting quarterback going to be? Can the O-line protect whoever that quarterback is going to be? And is there going to be enough explosiveness in the passing game?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I don't think too badly of these Giants. Obviously, I've been one to give Ryan Dable a few more chances than some people have. But But when I look at this roster, obviously the offensive line, there is some questions. I think Andrew Thomas is injured again. But I do think they're going to trot out Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback. I do think Jackson Dart is going to spend most of the year, unless something goes south, just learning. I think Russell is a good guy to learn from when it comes to schemes and things like that. So if Jackson Dart is going to learn, I think he is going to do it in a room with Jameis and Russell, with Wilson taking the throne as the starter. That running back room, too, is kind of nice. Tracy, former Iowa player, I think he finished up at Purdue, if I remember right. Devin Singletary, obviously some question marks there with what he's doing. He obviously got taken over by Tracy last year. And then Cam Stadabo. Right now, Cam is listed as third, but he has had moments where he's looked good. But I think in the last day or two, he had a hamstring injury. So he's kind of going to be on the sidelines for at least a little bit. But everything's looking good there. I do like their tight end, Theo Johnson. He used to play at Penn State. I think Russ can kind of get him going. And then that defense, man, that defense is nothing to shake your hand at. Kind of from top to bottom, from the trenches, with Sexy Dex, you got Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Thibodeau. I do think I would have liked him to go in a different route. I know Abdul Carter, you really can't pass on that kind of talent, but obviously he's taking up Kayvon's spot, at least on the depth chart right now, depending on what defense they run. So that room seems a little crowded for me, especially when it comes times to keep paying these dudes. But adding Javon Holland, I think that's a good free safety, a good center fielder to have out there. But I think this defense is gonna give some trouble to some teams. And this is kind of, for me, you get Russell, you have Malik Neighbors, which obviously we haven't talked much about. I do like Wan'Dale Robinson, but this is kind of a prove it year for me, for Brian Daboll. Like, hey, the Daniel Jones thing's in the rearview mirror. All the off the field stuff, we went out and got you Russell Wilson. We got you Jackson Dart, which should be your quarterback of the future. Go win games. And I think, obviously, last season letting Saquon go definitely was a black eye on that franchise, especially doing it on such a big stage. It was on Hard Knocks or whatever, and especially seeing it go to a division rival and win games. But I'm hoping well. I don't know if I have the Giants going crazy, just because I think the Commanders and Eagles are going to be very competitive in this division. But don't be surprised, man. I'm going to be a little high on them. I'm going to go 9-8. I think they win some games. I think, depending on how the NFC shakes out, they could be fighting for a wild card spot. Wow. That's just with Russ playing all season, Jackson learning, and obviously barring no injuries.
Yeah, no, I'm high on them too, man. And I'll tell you what, 8, 9, 9, and 8, right in that 500, I think is right where they're going to be. You've got a capable adult at quarterback. Say what you want about Russell Wilson. Can still spin it. He's a quality veteran quarterback. That being said, I think all three of these quarterbacks make the roster. I think all three of these quarterbacks will play at some point during the season. I'll hesitate to say that all three of them will get a start this year. But I think that they will start two of the three guys. I think a guy that I'm huge and high on, who will be a starter by week 5, 6, Marcus Mabau, who's a right guard, right tackle out of Purdue, drafted in the 5th round, really solid football player. Their O-line's a big question, but have you guys looked at their cornerback room, their DB room? I know you like the safeties. I'm not in love with their corners by any means. They're waiting on Cordell Flout to figure it out. He's battling some injury. I don't love their cornerback room. I would be more concerned about their corners, not DBs, but corners, than I would the O-line. And also, how soon before they trade Kayvon Thibodeau? Make that happen.
It seems to be looming, right?
Make it happen. You don't need him.
I wouldn't be shocked if he got traded before the season started.
If you know what you have in Abdul Carter, and obviously the entire league knows what you have in Brian Burns, there is some real draft capital to be getting back, and maybe even a starter to get back for Kevon Thibodeau. And I'm betting there's a shit ton of teams like the Cardinals, Carolina, Green Bay may even make that phone call, Rob. So yeah, get off him. But give me 500. I think it is a prove it year, and I believe in Daboll with Rob.
Yeah, like Rob said, I think can't talk enough about this defense. I really like from on paper. I think it's going to be a really solid defense, whether or not they keep Thibodeau or not. Um, they are going to keep them in games, that's for sure. And I think having Russ in there with um, Dable, so Dable finally has a quarterback that he can trust. I think we're going to see a good season out of Russ. I don't think like his prime years in Seattle, but I think it's going to be better than what it was in Pittsburgh, where Arthur Smith didn't really let him cook per se. So while I'm not going to go as high as you guys, I'm going to go 6-10, 7-9. I think it's definitely going to be a step in the right direction. I think it's going to buy them another season. Dable and the GM out there. And then the real question going into next season is whether or not Dart's going to be ready to take over as the starting quarterback. So while this is more so going to be a bridge year for the franchise, I think there is a potential for something to come out of it. I don't think it's going to be all gloomy days out there in the Meadowlands for this upcoming season, which is, I'm sure, for the fan base, a nice change of pace.
So I'm gonna make you put it in concrete. You said Giants might be challenging the Cowboys. What's your 3? What's your 4 in the division?
Yeah, now that we've talked about it, I'm definitely putting Cowboys last.
Same.
I like New York's defense
And
a whole of a lot.
Rob, what about you? Because you kind of had them in the same. Yeah.
I think they battle it out, but I do think right now, I think there's just so many question marks with that Cowboys defense. I don't know where Micah is. You lost old boy to Seattle. What's the other guy's name?
Lawrence.
You lost him. Your secondary can't stay healthy. As with this Giants, put this Giants defense out on the field at any given time, and they can win you a game. So I put a lot more value in that. So, but Dak's had times where he just goes out and gets you 4, but he also has games where he goes out and throws you 3 picks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just Cowboys doing Cowboys. But I do want to end the Giants with let Jackson sit, bro. Don't get too rowdy. Game 2, Russ throws a pick. You know how New York gets with the fandom. Let Jackson sit. Let him develop. It is going to benefit him in the long run, I feel like. If you throw him to the Wolves, I don't care if you have Malik Neighbors or let him develop a little bit. He came in a little raw. Let him get some I think Russ is a good guy to do it for him, too, it seems like. So I say just let that happen.
What a quarterback room, too. Like, that's
the vibes are going to be so high.
I mean, you got Anakin Skywalker, Subway Russ, and whatever the hell Jameis is on nowadays.
I think it's a
and Tommy DeVito sitting in the back going, shit, I'm not making this one.
Gabagool. My mama brought the gabagool.
He's not making that team, brother.
I mean, he might be a practice squad, but I think it's time to
move on.
Unless that agent has something on the owner, it's time to let that shit go.
He's got mob ties. They got dirt on everybody.
Unless there's bodies buried somewhere, let this guy go.
Well, you forgot if they get rid of him, then they lose Nona's chicken parm recipe.
They'll be fine.
Oh boy.
Okay, cool. That's the NFC East. Got 3 divisions left. Got a couple weeks till the football season officially kicks off.
Oh yeah.
Shout outs, fellas. Anything top of mind you want to touch on before we sign off?
I'm locked into one.
Okay, I'm empty. It's all you, Herb.
I'm gonna. I've shown the O.
Don't take mine. Don't take mine.
I'm probably not going to. Is yours O line related?
No, thank God.
Because I'm gonna make sure that we keep showing love to the big boys. All right. So college football camps have started. Right. SEC media is out in full force. And I caught a clip of the University of Kentucky Wildcats football media day. Okay. And it's pretty rudimentary. I mean, we're talking about a card table. It's a little local radio station. And here comes up for his interview the 6'8", 330-pound, I'm going to butcher the name, Shiaz Pete, who is a transfer from New Mexico State. He was a first-team All-Conference USA. He's a mammoth of a man. Learned how to play football on a Navajo reservation. Went to New Mexico State after that. He is Navajo himself, is my understanding. But you talk about, like, dude, this kid is impressive as a young man to watch. He talked about he had one of the hardest lines, and I think Kentucky's going to use it all year, is they were asking him about the O-line. It was ranked 15th in the SEC, that offensive line at Kentucky. And he goes, well, the way that everybody's talking about this team and this offensive line is that we're a lost cause, but what better to fight for than a lost cause? This kid's locked in. I'm going to be watching for the 6'8" behemoth playing left tackle for Kentucky. Shiaz Pete. Don't forget the name, fellas.
Cool. I got to shout out the alum. Drake University continues being absolute dogs. Bringing in a nice little 4-star basketball recruit. Not even going to try and pronounce his name.
Not worth it.
Nope.
Not worth it.
Deserve that. But shit, every time they think we're down and out, we hit them with the fucking upper right. So
25th or 26th recruiting class at Drake University in fucking Des Moines, Iowa, boys.
It's a big watch out, fellas. That's all I gotta say. Got me excited for what we're cooking out there.
Hendo's cooking, baby.
Coach Vanilla Waffle Cone is really gonna do something.
Real quick, because you said you didn't have one loaded up, Rob. There's a league here in Des Moines. It's called the Capital City League, and it's high-end high schoolers. It's some old heads, but it's a lot of college guys from Iowa State come down, Drake guys. It's an actual league, right, that plays here in Des Moines. Rumor is that Coach Hendo wants to be very involved, which Drake has not been in the previous years, to the point where it sounds like old Hendo is going to be out there running point for one of these teams. As the head coach of Drake, he's going to be running point guard for a Capital City team going against 20-year-old kids. I love that shit.
Go Bulldogs, baby.
I have no idea what that means.
Our head coach at Drake.
I understand that. I have no idea what this Capital League.
It's an adult league.
Yeah, it's I don't want to compare it to the Drew League, but it's similar to. It's an off-season summer league that plays in Des Moines.
Oh, so it's like the shit that goes on at the YMCA.
Yeah, but much more organized and with a bunch of high-end high school and collegiate athletes in it.
Okay. Well, fellas, that's it for episode 14. Thank you for listening. Make sure to leave us a like, comment, follow, subscribe. Tell somebody to give us a listen. Don't care who it is.
Tell everybody.
Tell everybody. We'll catch you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.